Hello and welcome to Healthy Bites. My name's Dr. Ron Ehrlich. This is a new segment for this year where we are going to have a short episode which highlights either the podcast of the week, a past podcast, or a story that has come up that I felt I wanted to share with you. I wanted it to be positive. I wanted it to be uplifting. I think this is a really important part of our weekly routine to try to do just that. So I hope you enjoy Healthy Bites. This week, our episode is about hormesis. And hormesis, I'm often asked, is all stress bad? And the answer is no. There are some intentional stresses which actually boost our immune system and are actually good for us. And examples of that is exercise. Exercise is an intentional stress that you undertake that is actually puts the body under some stress, but at the same time builds resilience and boosts immune function. And that's a good thing, obviously. Other forms of hormesis or intentional stress, hormetic stress, they're all the same thing, include ice baths, infrared saunas, fasting. One could even argue that perhaps meditation is an intentional stress as well. But this week's episode, we're going to be talking to that legend. I think he's a legend, Dino Gladstone. Now, Dino, I first met Dino at another legend, and a lot of legends here, but Aaron McKenzie's gym, Origin of Energy. I first started working out with Aaron in around 10 years ago, and there were some great people that I got to know in that gym, and Dino Gladstone was one of them. And you probably know Dino Gladstone too if you've been looking at watching the last 16 years of Bondi Rescue. Now, I grew up in Bondi, and to have a show that revolves around the beach where I spend an awful lot of time, Bondi Beach, and not only that, but to showcase what I believe are probably the best ambassadors Australia could ever have. I mean, I am just constantly amazed at how good-natured, capable, they all seem to be, with some people doing some really silly things, and they're always really respectful and good-natured about it, and they save people's lives. Now, Dino is one of the senior lifeguards in that Bondi Rescue show, and we talked a lot about breathing, and it's ironic in many ways because as a lifeguard, Dino has saved people's lives literally through the breath. And breathing is something we give very little thought to. There is a big difference between just breathing, and breathing well. Breathing is critical to optimal immune function, to helping balance out our body chemistry. And interestingly, breathing can also be used as a form of intentional stress. And this references the work of Wim Hof, a Dutch man who has made a huge reputation for himself by literally rewriting the physiological textbooks about what is actually a human is capable of. I think he's scaled Mount Everest in his shorts. He's been in ice for an hour or more at a time. I mean, he's done things which apparently aren't possible, but he's done them by controlling his body's physiology. And he's done that through breath and through meditation. And so Dino's episode explores that. And Dino is training people and runs courses on this very topic. And I started this with my partner in the dental surgery and my nephew, Dr. Ron Ehrlich, and we visited Dino in December of 2020 and went in for my first ever ice bath. Now, I hate cold water, so this was very confronting for me, but Dino ran us through some breathing exercises, and then also we hopped into an ice bath, or we individually hopped in, we took our turns, hopping into an ice bath that was 2 degrees, and we stayed in there. My first effort there was around 2.5 to 3 minutes, and since then, Lewis and I, with some others, have regularly met on a Saturday morning at Lewis's place and also gone through those breathing techniques and the ice bath. And it's been a really empowering and very interesting thing. And it's going to be a theme that I'm going to be exploring more this year, and that is using intentional stress in various forms to build resilience and immune function. So, is all stress bad? No, it's not. Here is an example of using breathing in a stressful way, intentionally stressing our system by using a particular breathing technique, and then also getting into an ice bath to again challenge our body and build resilience. And I've really enjoyed doing that. So this week's theme is about that, and to realise that not all stress is bad. Some intentional stresses are good. So I hope this finds you well. I hope you enjoy your week. I hope you enjoy this week's episodes. And until then, this is Dr. Ron Ehrlich. Be well. This podcast provides general information and discussion about medicine, health, and related subjects. The content is not intended and should not be construed as medical advice or as a substitute for care by a qualified medical practitioner. If you or any other person has a medical concern, he or she should consult with an appropriately qualified medical practitioner. Guests who speak in this podcast express their own opinions, experiences, and conclusions.